Uh, been working on the radio all day. It's a shitty day in my world. It's a small world I live in. And it's a tough thing. Charlie Kirk killed on stage in front of thousands and his kids, his family. And, I don't recognize who we're becoming. I don't. I look around and I see a bunch of people who are, quite frankly, dumbasses, who are looking for clicks and likes, who are so angry at so many damn things. And I'll tell you this right now, Charlie and I, as far as I didn't see eye to eye with him in a lot of things. Uh, but he was a husband. He was a father. And he was somebody who genuinely believed what he was talking about. Pastor that he was close with today was reading, I guess, one of his last texts, because I guess they text a lot out there in Arizona. And Charlie had thought he'd kind of gone to the area where he now could maybe start to move away from the politics and maybe more towards the Christian side of things, proselytizing and whatnot. It is it's a shitty thing, any kind of violence in a situation like this. And watching people celebrate it's awful, because you didn't like his take on anything. Okay, then you don't like his take. That's why he had these things. So you could go and you could debate him and you argue him, whatever it was. And we no longer see each other as humans. We don't. And it's a sad thing when we look at people in today's world, and because we're so wrapped up in our identities, and we're so wrapped up in our this belief system is this, and if you even bring something to me that challenges my beliefs, I can be angry at you, I can get mad at you, and if you bring something to me that I can't combat and beat in a debate or an argument, then I should have the right to do what? Kill? Like I said, I look at Charlie and my show, I don't do hyperbole. I don't do crazy stuff. It'd be easier. Trust me, if I just came on here, said crazy shit all the time, it'd be the easiest thing in the world. Just badmouth this side and say horrific things and be over the top. And I've seen a lot of that. It's not who I am. It's never been who I am. I'm a person who's interested in people, and I want to know as much as I can, and I want to learn, and I want to have conversations. And I see that we don't all have the same beliefs. And the beauty of our country is we don't all have the same beliefs. This isn't North Korea. And people said horrible things today about Charlie. I'm going to play some of them. Some people said stupid things. But the beauty of it is they said horrible things, but we live in a world of free speech. What Charlie was doing there was free speech, being able to debate, being able to have a conversation, and at times maybe a little shouting match, but to learn about each other and to have ideas that combat one another. The definition of terrorism, this was it. I mean, you used violence to try to quail and change people's thoughts and minds. And I find it appalling. We have seen a rise in violence and threats. We've seen people on social media say the most absurd, insane thing. We have gotten to the point now where I said the other day, and I backed it up again, that I could do a gardening show and then somebody be pissed because I didn't plant the tulips right. And so they'd throw a fit, and the next thing you know, you're fighting over it. When you don't see your neighbor as anything more than who they love, who they worship, who they voted for, that's not what we're about. I have friends of all walks of life: gay, straight, black, white, progressive, Democrats, old school, hardcore MAGA. You see my uncle on here. He was beside himself today. We've allowed the voices that are angry and pissed and who represent a small minority to dictate way too much. And I'm not even talking about violence. I'm talking about just the discord in this country. Everybody wants to point fingers. And like I said, I didn't believe everything Charlie said. I don't believe that with anybody. I mean, not even me, probably. It's just, you sit there and you think, like you said, it's a small business, and not a lot of us. I met Charlie on a few occasions when he was kind of first getting started. He was a nice guy, and he, big hopes and dreams like anybody does. And you sit there and you think, no dad for those kids, a widow. Think for a second that they woke up today and thought that? No. And it is sad commentary on who we are and what we've become when the first thing people do is they want to lay blame. They want to say things ridiculous like this clown.
Talk to me about the environment. The reports of exactly what happened are not confirmed yet. But talk to me about the environment in which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up on what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And
that guy was absolutely a fucking idiot. So you're going to victim blame in this situation? Well, he says hateful things. According to you. He says things that you don't believe in. He has strong feelings, like people on the left have strong feelings, and they're allowed to say stuff, of course, and I wouldn't want to silence them. And I guarantee you, he wouldn't either. And I guarantee you tonight, when they talk about guns as the left is doing, and we'll play some of that stuff here in a minute, Charlie, for no moment in time would think, if he knew how this ended, that he would want guns taken away from everybody because bad people, a few of them, do horrible things. We need to look at ourselves. We need to demand more of ourselves. We, the exhausted majority, and that's my show. When I started doing the show, my thing was, I'm independent. I want to verify. I want to verify again. And probably never going to get trust, but you'll get some skepticism that may lean towards trust. But I want truth. And I want to have a conversation and a dialogue. And there may be times that we disagree, but that's one of a few things. And it is getting ugly out there. I say it every day. I always joke around. I talk to my uncle about it, but the stuff I get from both sides, the right and the left, the disdain. And I try not to look. But there's stuff I get, and I just think, how are you so angry? How are you so pissed? And I defend your right as long as you're not threatening violence to say those things. But we have got to do better. We have lost our humanity. And it's a sad state we find ourselves in when you see somebody who gets shot because he says some stuff that's inflammatory. Okay. And do I think for an instant that Charlie wants people dead, or he's this evil racist, or he's all no. Do it. It's an entertainment industry. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. It is. One of the reasons I don't, do more stuff and in bigger settings is because I don't say shit just for the sake of it. You know how easy that would be? You know how easy it is to come on here, find 2 or 3 or 4 crazy videos, play some crazy wacky shit, make fun of some people, throw all kinds of just crazy hyperbole and zingers and crazy shit at people, and then laugh. And that's the easiest thing in the world. You're not having a conversation. You're not. And yeah, Charlie said some stuff. There's no doubt. Of course he did. Because again, it's an entertainment industry. And not everybody gets that, which is also another situation, because we do have a mental illness problem. We also have a common sense problem where people don't always get that, wrestling ain't real. Not everything that goes on and the mustard that they put something on when it comes to some of their comments. I've been on some of those shows. I don't go on them because I don't want to be told 20 times. You got to say the most outrageous things. You got to be louder than the next person, because you're not here for anything more than reality television. You might as well just take us to a restaurant and have us throw shit at each other like we're on the Real Housewives of something. It would be at least, we get some food out of it. And people say crazy shit because it's just easy to do today. Mike Tyson said it's a lot easier to do stuff and say stuff when somebody's not in front of you and you've got no fear. Both sides have said crazy shit. I saw a couple of people earlier today put some stuff out there saying it's time to essentially saddle up and let's do this. And I'm just like, no, that's not what it is. And that is my fear, that you're going to see some reprisals, which I can, to a person, say, Charlie wouldn't want that. He wouldn't. That's not what he was about. He loved God. He loved his family. He loved our country. He loved the rights that we had. He wanted those things and to protect those things. And you may have had a different belief than he did, but to think that he would want some sort of revenge in his name, no, not at all. And the influence he had, a lot of people in our business wish they had a 1/10 of that influence. I will say this wholeheartedly. And again, there's a lot of stuff I find ridiculous and over the top with a lot of the things that yes, even Charlie did and whatnot. But I will tell you wholeheartedly, the reason that guy's in the White House, a big reason, is Charlie Kirk. Absolutely. That is I can say that unequivocally. I don't think he would be there. The Joe Rogans help him. The podcast bros help him. All of that stuff played a huge role. But Charlie Kirk and the work that Turning Point did, and the way that they went about doing it, and the way that they went onto campuses, and the way that they battled, and the way that they did this amazing thing, whether you like him or don't like him, but the way that he did this, it was incredible. And there is no doubt in my mind that Trump's not going to be there without him. That would be I just don't see it. And it's awful. It is. And because there's a lot of people out there that I don't really jive with their politics, but I would never want to see him shut down, and I'd never want to see him shot down.
Hot take, if you don't want to get shot, maybe you shouldn't go outside. There's a cost to liberty, and you're allowed to get shot. You shouldn't shoot people, but you can get shot.
That's the cost of liberty is not going outside or getting shot. That's not like the cost of liberty They've already fought for the liberty. We have that. We have that Constitution. We have that thing there that protects us. It's ours, protecting us from the government. It's ours to say, no, those are the freedoms we have. Those are the things he was fighting for. Again, you don't have to like it. You don't have to like the way he did it. And yes, there are times, no doubt, even up until a couple days ago, talking about what's going on in North Carolina, that he put more than a few mustards. He says things that were controversial. And like I said, it's an entertainment. You're playing to a certain audience. Not everybody understands that. That being said, didn't deserve this. And you know what? I would never want to take somebody's speech away. That's what free speech is right there. People don't quite get it. They think they get it. Case in point, this is perfect.
Empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but...
The man you see there, his name is Charlie Kirk. He was shot in the neck this afternoon. He is a far-right extremist who advocated for a few gun deaths a year because they were necessary for us to keep our gun rights. He didn't want to be one of those deaths, of course. He was assuming it would be anyone else but him or anyone he loved. And he died for a cause, or potentially died for a cause today that he believes in, gun rights. He also doesn't believe in empathy, so he won't be getting any from me. Don't forget that 2 Democratic lawmakers were assassinated in cold blood this summer on July 4th by a far-right MAGA extremist. No political party is unique to this situation that's happening today. But MAGA and Trump will lead you to believe that this is an attack on the Republican Party and the Trump administration only. And it is not the case. Remember that. There were 2 children that were shot in Colorado at another school shooting today. Those children didn't advocate for what Charlie Kirk advocated for. They did not spew the same hate rhetoric that he did. Do not let this man become a martyr or a hero. He is not either of those things.
I will tell you, I never once heard Charlie or anybody I know advocate for kids to get shot, people to get shot. None of that. And rights. That's what we have. Rights. That's what he advocated. That's what we all advocate for. Free speech. Speech, which is the most important of all of the. So when you go and you look at the Constitution, we're looking at those things that right there, speech. Number one, that's the thing that takes the pressure off. Is the lid's going to explode. That's what happens there. Empathy's a made up. He said empathy. Why? Oh, that. Oh my God. No, come on. He said that because, yeah, it gets a rise out of people like her. Just like when they say stuff, it gets a rise out of people on the right. This is, unfortunately, a time where we are so divided. And we need to figure out how we look at each other in a way that is human again, in a way that is more about you're my neighbor, you're my friend, you're my coworker, not that you are who you voted for. And because you believe in Jesus and you're white, that somehow you're a supremacist, or that if you're Muslim, that somehow you want all Sharia law and to oppress everybody, or if you're gay, that somehow that you are evil and bad, and if you're, we need to find commonality, and that starts with us taking back the conversation, and we got to take the conversation back. We have to be the exhausted majority. We have to be the adults in the room. We do. What happened today was vile and disgusting. And I think something that hopefully isn't going to be any kind of crazy tipping point, but it could be a bit of a watershed moment. And I think it's time that the temperature come down, the conversations come out, the respect come out, and that we get back to being what we should be, which is Americans, which is human beings, which is neighbors, which is friends, which is sons and daughters, rather than the shit that's been spun on social media and chaos. that we see on a daily basis, whether it be on the Twitters or the YouTubes or everything else, and this meme generation of hate. We got to figure this out, and it starts with us. It does, you know. And I was listening to, oddly enough, Sonia Sotomayor talking about her book she's got out. She was talking about 9/11 and how in the subsequent days after 9/11, how after we kind of awoke from our numbness, that there was something else going on, that we didn't see each other as black and white, gay, straight, you know, Republican, Democrat, progressive, MAGA. Well, back then it was conservative. And we saw each other as Americans. We saw each other as people. I don't know if we could have that today. I don't know. I don't know if we could have that today, but we need to find a way to rekindle some of that. Check me out tomorrow. Go to ChadBensonShow.com, 6 to 9 Pacific, 9 till noon Eastern for the radio program. We'll be back tomorrow night for other stuff as well. And say a prayer for Charlie and his family. And it's one of those days. It's one of those days where we just didn't have to say one of those days.